Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today, and we are live Tuesday on the Stevie Breach channel. I honestly thought a little bit about talking about football today, but I honestly thought that Monday Night Raw was so good. Once it was like as it was going on, I didn't think the show was great, but it was kind of like once it was all done, I kind of thought about the major angles that they pushed during the show, and I was like, they are getting me really fired up for WWE's Crown Jewel coming up. It's going to be in 3 weeks from Perth, Australia. The only negative thing about it was I went to go make sure I took that day off from work because I knew if the show was in Australia, it was going to be a morning show here on the West Coast in Sacramento, California. I was like, I'm gonna take that day off so I can watch it. I honestly thought it was gonna be like an 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock start. It starts at 4 in the morning. I'm talking about if you live on the East Coast, if you're over there like in New York, if you're in Georgia, Florida, you're turning this thing on 7 a.m. I honestly think you guys are damn lucky. 4 a.m. not going to happen. I already know what I'm going to do. I'm going to schedule myself to work that day. I'm going to work. I start my days at 5 a.m. I'll just start the show at 5. And it will be hard, but I will just stay off of Twitter as much I can. And I'll just listen to the show on ESPN. WWE, they did a really good job with the ESPN app. It went off a little bit better than I thought it did. I can tell by looking at my YouTube views, my watches, that I think not that many people signed up for the ESPN app. I think there was a number of more than likely probably kids who didn't get their parents' permission to sign up for the ESPN app. Maybe they felt like it was a little bit hard to go to them. Like this, probably the same way it was for me in like Survivor Series 1993. And I'm going to my dad and I'm like, Dad, we need to order this pay-per-view. It's going to be $35. No. And just boom, shut down. Just basically going to them and just being like, we need to sign up for this ESPN app. It might cost us $30 a month. It might be free if we can find out if one of our cable providers offers it for free. I think they honestly just got shut down. No, my numbers to me honestly looked like it was 2012 all over again. I think people were going to YouTube looking to see if somebody was actually live streaming the show, if they were uploading the matches, if they just wanted to hear people talk about the matches because they weren't able to actually see them. I thought it was like a blast from the past. I haven't had a single day like that on a wrestling pay-per-view, honestly, in a really, really, really long time. So ESPN, Disney, they already said that they weren't going to be treating this ESPN app as it was like a make or break for the company. They weren't going to be like updating us on the numbers monthly or quarterly. They were going to kind of let us know how the ESPN app was doing when they wanted to tell us how this app is doing. So I'm sure your Dave Meltzers, your John Pollocks, they will go out there. They will try and get the facts to see how they did. WWE, of course, is always going to say that they were happy with the amount of views and the numbers, but they're always going to be pushing to try and make them bigger and make them more. Crown Jewel, to me, I was hoping they were not going to do the same sort of template that they did last year where it was champion versus champion. You can remember we ran this over in Saudi Arabia last year. They gave birth of the Crown Jewel championships. We did SmackDown versus Raw like it was bragging rights all over again, just a regular SmackDown versus Raw Survivor Series. We wanted to see what would happen if it was champion versus champion, but they are doing it. But I can tell you this year, I think they mapped it out down the road that we're going to care about this match. Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins is not just a thrown together. I don't want to say Cody Rhodes versus Gunther. That really didn't have a storyline other than champion versus champion. This Seth storyline is deep down into everything that is built for WWE. I think that honestly, deep down, Seth wants to take over WWE. He wants to he wants to shape himself into being the best wrestler out there, honestly, in the world. But if you go back to the night after Monday Night Raw, when him and Braun Breaker came together, and then we sort of, built ourselves into telling everybody what our story is, they kept saying they wanted to take over Raw. They wanted to take over Raw. He wasn't saying he wanted to take over SmackDown. We have seen Seth Rollins and The Vision, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed make appearances on SmackDown here and there along the way. But when it really comes down to it, I think they really just have their focus on one show. And this is one of the major angles of being there. But, him having to go up against Cody Rhodes at this thing, there is the fact that they were so fast to throw out that these guys have wrestled 3 times. I apologize if we go back to the early Cody Rhodes career, if he was dashing, if they had any sort of a matchup, something like a main event, a Monday Night Raw, a SmackDown. We aren't counting those. We're only counting the WrestleMania. I apologize. The match that happened between WrestleMania and Hell in a Cell. Those are the 3 matches that we are concerned about. Cody Rhodes was, of course, coming back to WWE from AEW. And, he was making his triumphant return. I think at the time we all thought Cody was going to be the new John Cena. We all thought he was going to be the new Hulk Hogan. But we didn't really know how it was going to go. And I'll tell you the truth, when he got all the way to WrestleMania 39 and he wasn't able to close the deal and he's sitting in the ring losing to Roman Reigns, he's looking at that chicken. I I remember hearing the news because I was at Universal that day, and just thinking, I guess they gave up on Cody. I guess this is not going to work. And then, of course, people started to shape that into the story that they think it's going to be bigger if they can make this storyline go for a whole nother year to WrestleMania 40, where they'll do Roman versus Cody yet one more time. And of course, on the road to get there, The Rock tries to cut in, steal the match from Cody Rhodes. He wanted to make it the Rock versus Roman show because he thought that was going to be a much bigger show, and he thought that was the match that people wanted to see. And oh no, that was not it. And I can tell you the truth, I was watching a lot of wrestling in that time. I really was dipping my toe back into wrestling, saying that I was going into it full force, I guess you can say, because the plan at the time was that me and my buddies were going to go to WrestleMania 41. But I just didn't want to go to WrestleMania, pay that price, and then really not know everything that was going down in WWE. And I got myself pretty close that I cared about a lot of things, but I can honestly say for watching wrestling full time for a year, there was stuff that happened at WrestleMania that I really didn't know the story on everybody. I didn't know that Io Sky was a former champion. I really didn't know that Tiffany Stratton was really that good. I kind of looked at her as like maybe she's just another blonde like Trish Stratus that they're just trying to put out there as like a model, like, hey, you're hot, go out there and wrestle, and people are going to care. And I found out that I was wrong about a lot of things. But I don't know. The storyline, I don't even really know how Seth got into the whole Cody thing. If he was just at the press conference, that Seth was kind of the one guy that stepped up and said, like, what you're doing is wrong. And, you can't steal this match. Like, he was kind of like the locker room leader that was stepping up for Cody because he was close, but he hadn't really taken over that role because he hadn't been champion in WWE, I guess you can say. But of course, that's where we set ourselves up for the Cody and Seth versus Rock and Roman. Now, they weren't able to get the job done, which means that there was no rules. It was bloodline rules in the main event of WrestleMania 40, where of course, Cody got close, but there was interference. I think it was we had Solo Sikoa, which brought out John Cena, which brought out The Rock, which brought out the The Undertaker, which brought out Seth Rollins. I think that's the order that honestly everything went down. But the fact that we know Cody gave these Rolexes, we've seen The Rock and Roman show off of theirs, and Rock I'm sorry, then Seth even said on Raw last night, like, this is the first time that he's worn the Rolex. Like, I can honestly tell you, I don't think I've ever seen a picture with Seth and the Rolex. I don't think we've seen video even of Cody giving these out. We've heard the story, we've seen the watch. I think it was even used against him, by The Rock in the build up to WrestleMania 41. That the watches were out there. But I think the fact that, like, it was a closed circle of things that, like, Cody brought to life, like, I think he knows that things need to be made available for documentaries, for social media, for things like that. But I think this was something that he wanted to keep private, and I guess it's been made. We've seen them all now. We've seen them all. We know them all. But that moment of him handing these watches out and letting people know how much this moment really means to him, for the Rhodes family to climb atop of WrestleMania and actually be there. When Seth had the face off and Seth was in the back, Becky Lynch was just running her guts about, how, AJ, how could she do this? Blah, blah, blah. We've heard it 1,000 times. She's the most talked about women's wrestler. She's the best wrestler. It's not only her saying it. Sports Illustrated, Bleacher Report, ESPN, blah, blah, blah. All these people are saying it. It was like he was there, but he wasn't there. As a husband, as a former husband, I understand completely what was going on. You are wrapped up in your moment. You're wrapped up in your storyline, what you care about. Like, you might be listening, but you're not really involved. You're not really into it. Let Becky do whatever she's going to do. Like, when she grabbed her belt and she stormed off, we still don't know what's going on with her, where she's going, what she's doing. But, Seth just kept staring at that Rolex. And I don't know if Cody got into his head that how could he be the best wrestler in the world if he's never beat Cody Rhodes? What is he going to do? We already saw not once, but twice on Monday Night Raw. Once by Seth Rollins, twice by Paul Heyman, ordering Braun Breaker to stand down from attacking Cody and then attacking Jey Uso later on in the show. I think that we're building up a storyline with Braun Breaker that we'll get into, that maybe all is not right in the vision. I mean, really, when was the last time that we saw Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, besides for a promo or needing muscle for a match? When was the last time we saw these three guys together? Are they sharing a locker room? Are they sort of going their own separate ways? But Paul Heyman is the one guy that kind of like brings them together. There was a time when we thought Seth Rollins was injured and they were pushing Braun Breaker to the front. Like, hey, we need to keep this storyline going. He's going to be our new guy. He was saying he was the future. And then all of a sudden, Rollins came back with the crutch, threw the crutches down, came back, became World Heavyweight Champion. And Braun Breaker was seeming like he didn't know what the plan was, and he didn't want to know what was going on. I think this is something that we write down in the story that we're going to come back to that later on down the road. Now, I'll tell you this much. Looking at this Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins match, I think that Seth's going to win. No doubt in my mind, Cody Rhodes is losing this match. I think we need to load the vision. Seeing how the next major show coming out of this would be War Games at the end of November, I think we need to get some heat that basically seems like the heels are running the show, and this is not babyface territory. Cody Rhodes not winning the Crown Jewel Championship, not being able to pose with the Sheik, hold up a belt that we're never going to see again for a year, talk about a ring that, isn't going to be shown anywhere for a year, is not going to matter in the long run. I think we're going to get to a point when we're trying to remember all of the names on the nameplate of who the former Crown Jewel champions were. From there, the next match that we're going to get is Stephanie Bakir. She came out and she had her moment with her father as the new Raw Women's Champion. Stephanie Bakir is going to be fighting the SmackDown champion, who, because matters what you believe, what you hear, if there was an injury to Tiffany Stratton, at one point, Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill, and Nia Jax was planned to be going down at WrestlePalooza as one of the matches that was going to fill out the show. Then it was bumped on SmackDown to be happening this Friday, the SmackDown after WrestlePalooza. Now, Tiffany Stratton is coming in as the champion, and she's going to be fighting against Jade Cargill and Nia Jax. This all happened because we had a big match on SmackDown. I believe that would be 2 weeks ago. Tiffany Stratton put the title on the line against Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill hasn't really been in the title picture. She hasn't even been in the picture since SummerSlam. I thought that, honestly, she was going to have her moment. She was going to be holding the title, and, all was going to be right after stealing the best blue chipper that AEW had. Now, when she got to WWE, maybe we found out that she wasn't as polished as we thought she was, because we just kept seeing her backstage showing up to shows. We never saw her getting involved in matches. We never saw her getting involved with face-to-face with other wrestlers. It was just told like, hey, we need to polish her up a little bit before we let her get out there and we let her shine. 2 times in a row, I thought WrestleMania was going to be her moment. I thought that SummerSlam was going to be her moment. Now, people jumped right out and basically said that they're burying Jade. They're giving up on her. She's not what we thought she was going to be. I picked her to win WrestlePalooza for that reason. Now, going for this SmackDown match, I don't think I'm picking Jade anymore. I'm leaning like 90-10, 90% towards Tiffany Stratton getting the win here. Maybe 10% behind Nia Jax. Nia Jax was the champion last year going up against Liv Morgan, and maybe they just want to see a babyface versus a heel. When I think about Nia Jax going up against Stephanie Bakir, I think that maybe they want to see like a bigger girl going up against Stephanie. They're trying to show off how good she is as a champion. I think people were really surprised by seeing her wrestle at WrestlePalooza. They saw how good she can work, and then when she came out on Raw on Netflix, she talked, and we saw how well she's been working on her English, that she's able to carry her own promo. I just think that might be the biggest match for him, because if we do Stephanie versus Tiffany, babyface versus babyface, somebody's got to lose. That's the only negative to come out of it. And because of the fact I don't really know where to stick this, besides for in this women's talk about the Stephanie Bakir versus the SmackDown champion at Crown Jewel, Stephanie Bakir, do not trust Nikki Bella. Nikki Bella is on Raw. She's after your championship. She's after you. Nikki Bella cannot be trusted. She is going to stab you in the back as soon as she can. She can't just be hanging out acting like you guys have been the best of friends in the entire world. We haven't seen you anywhere other than when she comes up to you in the hallway. So, Stephanie Bakir, watch out for Nikki Bella. SmackDown match, I'm picking... I think I talked myself into Nia Jax winning this match. Is Nia gonna win on SmackDown? We'll see. Today, we had a major announcement from WWE. Triple H announced that at Crown Jewel, we are going to be getting John Cena versus AJ Styles in a singles match. And immediately I kind of smiled, like, damn, this is going to be a good one. This was a match, honestly, that John Cena was asking for yesterday on Twitter, telling Triple H, go ahead and announce the match, Cena versus AJ. I thought we were going to get this match on Monday Night Raw, and I was kind of surprised at the fact that John Cena wasn't announced to be at Raw, but I thought that was his way of saying, like, I'm here, let's do this, let's have a match as we get closer and closer to the Cena retirement tour coming to an end. It seems like he wants to wrestle on TV, and it seems like he wants to wrestle as many people as he can. But now that I think about it, this match is going to be happening at the pay-per-view. I know that we have John Cena on Raw from Boston. We have a John Cena at Madison Square Garden Monday Night Raw coming up. I don't know if those are on the road to Crown Jewel or if those are on the road to War Games. So I'm going to be kind of thinking, with this being a babyface versus babyface match, that we're just going to ride it out of with no television, and the match is just going to happen like a dream match. But my problem is like when they did like the first Australia show, when they did like the first Saudi Arabia show, because they were out of the country and they were only on the network, they were kind of treated like these are house show style matchups. This is Goldberg versus Undertaker. This is a dream match scenario. It has nothing to do with what is going on in WWE. I think that when I did Brock Lesnar defeat The Fiend for the belt on one of these Saudi Arabia shows, I'm pretty freaking sure. Or maybe it was Goldberg beat Kevin Owens. Maybe. Well, anyways, like, it wasn't until a major championship changed hands on one of these shows that they were kind of treated like these are real shows. It was kind of, they bought these shows. We're going to go over and we're going to do them since they're on such a grand stage. We're going to put them out for everybody to see. Because if you remember, it was kind of like Orton versus Cena, Triple H versus Cena. We got these big matchups, but like it had nothing to do with the storylines that was going on in WWE at the time. Because WrestlePalooza wasn't that long ago. I don't think people forgot about it. John Cena got his ass kicked. There ain't no other way to put it. Brock Lesnar cleaned house with John Cena. I mean, Cena got his moves in. It looked like he was going to win. And all of a sudden, Brock kicked out. And it was just F5, F5, F5. On my early review, like I said that he hit like 10 of them. I guess I overemphasized and it was closer to 5 of them. Before like Brock just says like, that's it. It's over. And he pinned him. So where are we going with that? This is John Cena's retirement tour. Brock Lesnar said his plan and his promos was he was here to retire John Cena. I know there wasn't a gimmick in there basically saying like when John Cena loses, he's going to be forced into retirement, like sort of tying it into like the Ric Flair deal, building up to WrestleMania 24 when, you know, he had big matches against MVP. He had the big match against Triple H. He had another match against Shawn Michaels. That's the one that like he finally lost and he retired to. But there were other ones when you were watching on TV that they would name it like, and it's like, oh, how is he going to get out of this one? There is no way he's winning this match. And miraculously, Flair would win, and the streak would go on, and the streak would continue. I know that we still have those Raws, and maybe like I don't think the fact is that Brock doesn't want to go to Australia. Brock has shown he'll go wherever the money is. He'll go wherever he is told. Hey, there's a check there. We'll give it to you. You just take your private jet. We're gonna be cool. Brock does business wherever Brock is told that there's going to be business going down. So, in the back of my mind, this match might happen. I don't think there's going to be a finish. I don't think Cena's winning. I don't think AJ's winning. I think Brock is showing up, and I think Brock's like is there to finish the job. I don't think the Brock versus John Cena storyline is over with. I wouldn't be surprised to see Brock show up, win, lose, or draw, and he just starts suplex citying John Cena all over the ring, basically saying, um, he is here to end John Cena one way or another. Probably saying that at Saturday night's main event in December, we're going to get John Cena versus Brock Lesnar one-on-one at that point. We just had somebody stop by. What is up, Pat's Nation 434? I appreciate you stopping in. Brock went to Japan in 2015. That was the match. That was what was that show called? It was on the 4th of July. I think he was in the title. I know it was Brock versus Kofi, and it was like a done killer match. Like Kofi died. That's the only way to put it. I remember watching that entire show. The highlight was Finn Balor beating Kevin Owens. I remember that my buddy Mike tapped out and he went to bed when the Cena and Dolph Ziggler match started against King Barrett and Corporate Kane. One hell of a main event there. And that match went on and on and on. That match just, it's probably still going. And I remember I felt like Mike won by going to bed that night. And you want to know what's crazy? We got back on Skype and we watched a New Japan show the next night. I can't remember if like this show happened. We had a day. I went to work. We lit off fireworks. We came back. We watched the New Japan show. But that, I guess you can say 48 hours where we watched those two wrestling shows were beyond the point of crazy. I can't remember the Brock in Japan show, what it was called. But I remember that. I remember the poster, if that means anything to what's going on. Brock versus Coasty. Oh, Beast in the East. That was it. Beast in the East 2015. Great show. Shout out, Mike. Thanks for watching with me. Let's see. This match is not announced as of right now, but after watching Monday Night Raw, I think everybody can pick up on where we are going. I kind of had a hot spot that this match was happening on the road to WrestlePalooza. But we're going to be getting Rhea Ripley and Io Sky going up against Asuka and Kairi Sane. Last night on Monday Night Raw, of course, we had the Rhea Ripley versus Asuka main event. Rhea, she got the win, but Asuka, I guess you can say, won the war that night because she got the mist off in Rhea's face. Every picture of Rhea Ripley looks better and better. I don't know if they use a different mist. I don't think I've ever seen somebody get hit with this mist before, and it just dye her entire body. Like when Great Muta used to do it, it got spit in the face, and you were able to kind of like wipe it away. Like when you wiped Rhea Ripley's skin, it was like the dye went away, but like it soaked into her skin, and she actually turned that purplish blue color. She looked like a Smurf in the back. It was beyond the point of crazy. This is kind of like a liberating, free moment for Io Sky. It is being told to me that like what they're doing with Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Io is like when Rhea was talking to Io in the back, she said that like they wouldn't be there if it wasn't for Asuka. Asuka brought them over from Japan, and she is family. You got to kind of like pay attention. You like it's big in the Japanese wrestling culture, I guess you can say, is like they're very big on respect, and like Asuka is like the one who has been there the longest. She has tenure, I guess you can say. So like you listen to your legends, and like I think the coolest thing about this whole thing is they are building Asuka up, and they are building Asuka strong to the fact of like I wouldn't be surprised if Asuka becomes women's champion on Monday Night Raw sooner than later. And for the last few years, I mean, she's coming back from that knee injury, but even before then, like Asuka was on Raw, but like, especially when she was in like her tag team years, like, it seemed like they were kinda, like, hiding her, almost like they were kinda saying, like, her run was done, and now it seems like they're pushing her, like, at any moment. She could win a championship. Asuka never saying that she's been able to beat Rhea Ripley, and they've had, like, 6 matches. That is beyond the point of crazy, especially when you think about the fact how they push Rhea versus Io, that Io has beat Rhea Ripley every single time that they've been in there. So this matchup that they're doing with them as a tag team, I think that Rhea has to get the hometown victory here with them going to Australia. But at the same time, I don't know how we get Rhea and Io into the women's championship picture, besides for Rhea Ripley has been telling Stephanie Vakir, like, go win your championship, but when you win, I'm going to be there waiting for you, and I want my championship shot. Um, Hold on. Oh no, because that was if Io won. Because it was Io won. Adam Pearce had told um, Roxanne that she was going to be number one contender, but I guess that's just out the window because Roxanne and Raquel are wrapped up in this whole Becky versus Bird Girl storyline with Lyra Vaquera. Is going down, but I'm looking forward to this matchup: Rhea and Io against Asuka and Kairi Sane. Now, I'm not really 100% sure on what is going to be going down with the rest of this card, but just talking about what is going on Monday Night Raw, one of my very favorite storylines that is going down on WWE right now involves Jey Uso. Yeet. Um, I think that what is going on with Jey Uso is beyond the point of cool and a throwback to my old days of, being a kid watching pro wrestling. As you've seen, as Jey Uso has sort of like definitely been at odds with LA Knight, kind of been at odds with Jimmy Uso. I think it goes back to the talk with Roman Reigns on Monday Night Raw before Roman went off to go make his scenes for Street Fighter. You can go back and Roman is talking about like, hey, you don't need to be the locker room leader. You don't need to be running out there and getting involved in everybody else's fights. Like, you need to worry about you. You need to be worried about family, and you need to be worried about creating moments and becoming a champion. And so I don't really understand where they were going with this storyline. Was Roman trying to kind of like twist, like, Jay into being a different character that he was going towards? But ever since that moment, I don't want to say that Roman turned Jay heel. We haven't been seeing the colorful, Yeet t-shirts. WWE loves selling some Yeet shirts. And I think I've got the black and gold. I've got the orange. I've got the pink. I might even have the red one because I think at the time that was on clearance and that was like one of the first ones. But like, he's not wearing the hats. He's wearing his own like just black hat. It's kind of just black hat, black tank top. He's got like the black karate fighters jogger short, like I don't know really what those things are. They're not really quite sweatpants. He's not Mick Foley just like phoning it in. But Jay, when Jimmy went to the back and said like, hey Cody, can you talk to this guy? Jay's on a journey right now. Jay's on a journey. I thought he was going to do this like a few weeks ago. It seems like he's like, is he walking out on the crowd? Is he walking out on his family? Is he walking out on Monday Night Raw? He's definitely, since losing the championship, he's in his head that I think he thinks everybody's against him. If he has his own word and he lives up to it, he told Jimmy that he was going to go out there and handle his business with LA Knight. Now, LA Knight seemed to be fighting 3 people at once. He was getting attacked by Bronson Reed. He took out Braun Breaker and then turned back around, and he got speared by Jey Uso. I'm not saying that Jey Uso and the Vision are in cahoots. All I'm saying is that when they ran out there, they didn't attack Jey Uso. And when Jey Uso pinned LA Knight, they let Jey Uso get up, walk himself away from the ring before they crawled back into it to try to attack Jimmy Uso. Now, were they just thinking like, hey, if we start attacking Jay, LA Knight's gonna get up and all of a sudden it's 2-on-2 and we don't have the numbers, especially knowing that Rollins isn't gonna help because he hasn't been around in a while. But that Jimmy might come running down and then it's 3-on-2, and that's a bad scenario. So, like, hey, we let Jay walk away. We got we got LA Knight all day. But it sort of seems like we have a Sting situation in WCW where Jey Uso has kind of turned his back on WCW. And I don't want to say he's like flirting with division the same way that it kind of looked like Sting was flirting with the NWO, but like just kind of the NWO did. The division can sure make it seem like, hey, he's with us. He's one of us, and not make it where anybody in WWE will trust him and want him around, kind of like isolating him off to the side that anytime they happen to pull, we got a match against Jey Uso. It's a one-on-one affair because ain't nobody coming to help. On Monday, we are going to be getting the Usos in a rematch from WrestlePalooza. It's going to be Jimmy and Jay going up against Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. This one is going to be a tornado tag. So basically, it just means that like nobody needs to tag. It doesn't mean there's no rules, but there's no tag team rules to the match. It's going to be basically a four-way, but they're on teams. And we're going to have to see what comes down. But more than likely, I think what we're going to get is Jimmy and Jay not being on the same page somewhere along the way. Maybe even LA Knight comes down and he tries to interfere inside of this matchup. So what we're cooking on right now, honestly, is really, really good, and I'm eating up every single second of it. But what's going on with the Usos, especially Jay, is my favorite thing in WWE as of right now. CM Punk, I'll tell you the truth, I put a question mark next to his name when it comes to Crown Jewel. I don't really think he's really cooking on anything. I don't even think that there could be a foreseeable matchup for him unless we don't do a Jimmy and Jay versus the Usos match. And maybe it's Punk versus Breaker or Punk versus Reed. But with Seth fighting Cody and there being no Roman Reigns around, Punk's probably just looking like it's time to chill. Maybe giving him a month off kind of seems like the best thing to do. When it comes to AJ Lee, Becky Lynch, when she was in the back, we touched on this earlier when we were talking about the Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins match. Becky was running her mouth about basically, it sounded like AJ Lee. How could she down talk her? How could she play her out? How can she try to seem like she's more valuable than her? And at one point, she grabbed her championship and she said that like she was going to find a way to make it right. I don't know if she was going to Adam Pearce and we're going to be setting up AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch in the one-on-one match. I don't want to rain on anybody's parade. Punk and AJ versus Becky and Rollins was probably the worst match on WrestlePalooza. I'm not the most technical guy when it comes to like wrestling. I follow the storyline more than anything else, but the match inside the ring just didn't look good. And my first thought was, remember when AJ came back and made her return? Becky Lynch showed up on Monday Night Raw the next night with a huge black eye. She must have just caught her one on accident. And maybe she didn't want to see that happen. But AJ versus Becky in a singles match, I'm not jumping off of like I'm not jumping in the deep end of the pool hoping for that match to happen. That's the only way I can really get it there. Drew McIntyre, he had his match against Cody Rhodes at WrestlePalooza. It was a championship match. He lost the match. It kind of looked like he was injured at the end. I think they were telling some sort of a story where his knee gave out because he kicked the announce table at one point during it. I don't know really where he goes from here other than they could put Drew versus Cody because it was Drew versus Cody on SmackDown when Cody Rhodes returned. It was kind of like Cody Rhodes. I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, shoot. Let's go back in time. I apologize. Scratch all that. We'll fix it in post. Okay. Drew McIntyre. He lost his match to Cody Rhodes at WrestlePalooza. Drew, I don't really know where he's going to fit into having a match. We've already got Cody versus Seth. But the one thing I was thinking of, even though I wrote Cody Rhodes, was Drew versus Randy Orton. Of course, when Drew McIntyre attacked Cody Rhodes a few weeks ago, it was Randy Orton that stepped up and kind of wanted to be the one to teach Drew a lesson. But, Drew got the better of Orton, and then all of a sudden Cody came back and returned and pushed his way to the front, making it a one-on-one match. So is Randy Orton coming back to get his one-ups against Drew and sort of keep Drew in storyline on the way to War Games? That's not a match that I think is high up on my card, but it honestly could, because as of right now, I've got 4 matches that I know are going to take place. We've got Cody versus Seth Rollins. We've got Stephanie against the SmackDown champion. We got John.Cena against AJ Styles. The tag match of Rhea and Io going up against Asuka and Kairi Sane. We need one more. I mean, AJ versus Becky seems like it's going to be on there. But Drew versus Cody could find a way. But really, what we're working towards as of right now is War Games. I don't know if everybody has seen the poster that is out there for War Games. I don't even know if it's true, but honestly, I believe it for the fact that there are 2 things. When you look at the poster and the bottom line of the poster, the middle is an ad for Netflix and ESPN. It has both of those logos, but on the left-hand side, it has the San Diego City logo that I think they put on there, and the other one is for Petco Park. I think if somebody was making their own fan-made poster or something like that, I don't think they would have added those little pieces in there. And I think that more than likely WWE is trying to, I don't know even where these pay-per-view posters go, because if you remember when pay-per-view posters first got made, it was WWE or WCW, even ECW, mailing posters to the cable people to actually hang up inside of the cable businesses to kind of advertise their show for people that came in to sign up for cable, to pay their cable bill. They see a freaking WrestleMania poster and they're like, hey, need to get WrestleMania, let's go. But as of right now, we got Team WWE. It is LA Knight, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and John Cena as a team going up against Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, Brock Lesnar, and Drew McIntyre. I can tell you this much. I can see these baby faces working together. I can see them making a team. I know that LA Knight and CM Punk, they've got some beef. They've got some problems, but I think that Seth Rollins is on the other side. And I think that both of these guys, even though they wanted to beat each other to beat up Rollins, they both know they have a chance to get Rollins inside of War Games, inside of the cell. I think they're going to be good, and I think they're going to play well together. Biggest storyline of last year's War Games was Roman Reigns having to ask CM Punk to join his team. I don't want to say that everything is buried between CM Punk and Roman Reigns, because you got to remember that even though Seth walked out with Paul Heyman, we've never really got an answer to Paul Heyman leaving Roman Reigns. And even though it was because of a favor, Paul Heyman left Roman Reigns to be with CM Punk that night, even though they both ended up getting laid out at WrestleMania. They both got laid out at the Raw after WrestleMania. The storyline I thought was going to be coming out of WrestleMania was Punk and Roman having to team together to take down the Vision. I thought that's why they put Rollins with Reed, so we could have this tag team going on. we never really get to see them work together. This is the first time we're going to see them as a team since last year, so I want to see what's going on with there. Cody can make it work with anybody. That's the God's honest truth. Cody is probably the best friend of everybody in the backstage locker room, and John.Cena is going to be there because I'm hoping that he's going to want revenge against Brock Lesnar, because I've already told you early on in the stream that I think Brock's showing up to Crown Jewel. Brock is going to attack Cena during the AJ match, ruining the dream match scenario that Cena asked for against AJ Styles. And I don't think we're going to get a finish inside of that match. Let's see here. So the heels, the only question mark in this, honestly, is Drew McIntyre. And I think this is like the second time that McIntyre has fit into a War Games where he's kind of like the fifth wheel, that he's not really along with everybody, but like he's just, we're bad guys. We're gonna work together and we're gonna take out the good guys, because even though it's kind of been scaled down a little bit, my favorite thing about Drew McIntyre is that he doesn't think that he's a bad guy. He thinks that everybody else is the problem and that he's the only normal guy running around. I don't know what I think of this. Like, I think this is a well-stacked War Games. I remember that like the night after the Royal Rumble, I was saying we are going to have the world's best elimination chamber that we have ever had. When I look at this on paper, I think this might be one of the best War Games since early WCW. God's honest truth. I think it's the best WWE version of War Games, but is it too good to be true because of the fact that Jey Uso is one of the biggest baby faces and he's not on there? But as we've talked about, what if we go like this and it's not Drew and we get Jey Uso get sucked into the vision, telling him that they can make him a champion? Not only, if you go back to the very early vision, they Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, they went to Sami Zayn and they said, if you stay on Monday Night Raw, you will have to fight Braun Breaker, and Braun Breaker will end you. If you step down from this match and you go to SmackDown, we will set up that you will be given a championship match against Cody Rhodes for leaving the Raw brand for SmackDown. And that's all you got to do, is you just got to lay down and not have this fight. And of course, that didn't happen. So we know that for some reason, SmackDown owes Seth Rollins, maybe owes Paul Heyman, the Goon, a favor, that maybe if Rollins says, hey, Jey Uso, come to our side for War Games and we'll get you a championship shot over on SmackDown, maybe that's a promise that he would want to be there. But now, at the beginning of WrestlePalooza, Brock Lesnar came down to the ring. And even though Brock came up and ran into Paul Heyman on SmackDown and said, hey, we should talk, it kind of seemed like a surprise to everybody involved when Heyman came running down at WrestlePalooza and said, hey, I'll do the introduction. And I don't even honestly remember, because I was so shocked by the finale of the match. I don't remember if Heyman actually stayed and celebrated with Lesnar at the end of the WrestlePalooza match. So I don't really know if there's a relationship between Brock, Paul Heyman, if Brock even wants to play with Rollins, or if Brock just wants to be his own guy, but he wants to have Heyman there. So I'm pumped for this War Games. I think it's going to be one of the best ones. If I had to pick right now, I think that the babyface side is so stacked with LA Knight, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Cody, and John, that we would have to have some storyline come out of this, that somebody doesn't play well with the others, that cost them War Games. and I think the Vision wins because the storyline of the Vision is always to rule Monday Night Raw and take over the world of wrestling. So there we go. Let's finish this off with a few of the comments along the way. I apologize that you guys are all so awesome. Oh, before I get going, because we got people in here, I appreciate people coming to these streams. I really appreciate doing that. I'm able to knock out a lot of videos all at once, because normally what I'll do is I'll download the stream as soon as it's up, and then I'll cut those into clips and I'll upload those up the other days as singles videos. That I couldn't do it without you guys. Make sure if you are on Twitter to tweet me so I can know really who you guys are, because you guys don't always have the same YouTube names as Twitter names. And if you tweet whatever, I want to make sure that I follow you. That's the easiest way that I can pay you guys back, because I appreciate you guys big time. Let's see. I'm going back. I got a bunch of comments this time. I appreciate you guys a lot. Okay, we go back to when we were talking about Beast in the East 2015. Pat's Nation put the question of the day up. Are you going to WrestleMania in Las Vegas next year and WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia in 2027? We'll start off by saying this. I will tell you the honest truth is that if I found a way to weasel my way into being, now I don't think I am this. There was a point when I thought I was close in 2012 that I was an influencer, I guess you can say, for WWE, when a lot more people watched my videos. I thought at one point when the network launched that I should find a way to ask if the network would like to take my group of friends that made wrestling videos and if they wanted to make a show out of it. If I would have found a way to ask, I think that would have been awesome. But I did ask my friends if they wanted to go to Saudi Arabia. We had a good laugh. Nobody picked up. But WrestleMania Las Vegas. We had a talk about WrestleMania New Orleans, and it was a good one. And then all of a sudden it was canceled and it became Las Vegas. And I think that we had dreams of still doing the trip, but the one thing that scared us away last year is that you have to remember that when I became friends with Ravi, when I became friends with Miguel, I was 10 years older than them. I'm still 10 years older than them. So what I was going through then, they're going with now. Ravi just got married. Miguel he pretty much is married. Miguel's got kids. I think that Ravi wants to start his family sooner than later. I don't want to put words into his mouth, but it costs a lot of money to go to WrestleMania. It costs a lot to go then. It costs a lot more to go now. And I just don't think it's on the table. I would love to go on a wrestling trip. The fact that if you watched Ravi, Assault and Battery 777, his video with Justin and Mike going to All Out in Toronto this last weekend, I have never been more jealous in a long time of people going to a wrestling show that I wish that I would have been there, especially the fact that even Griff got to go back and they watched WrestlePalooza. I think that might have been my favorite thing of the entire night, was just being in, I think it was Justin's apartment and watching the show. But no, Las Vegas 41. I went on a limb. I went by myself. I went to the wrestle, who's gonna call it, wrestle reunion? What the heck was that thing called? The High Spots deal. The convention. I went. I met everybody. When I was in Vegas, I did everything Vegas that I wanted to do. Besides, I didn't go out and go to the farther off casino at the northern end of the strip, past the Stratosphere, Old Vegas, people call it. I can't remember what it's actually called, but I didn't go there. I'll go there someday. But I went to the chapel where Triple H and Stephanie got married on Raw. I went to the pool. I saw where WrestleMania 9 was. I went and did the Pinball Museum. I did the Vegas sign. I saw where Evil Knievel jumped the Caesars uh, pool at their entrance with his motorcycle. I did just about everything that I wanted to do. I made videos on just about everything that I wanted to do. Vegas just doesn't have me. I would love to go to WrestleMania again. I don't know what city is going to grab my attention, but it's going to be something that has things other than WrestleMania for me to want to go to, because there's always going to be wrestlers at the convention that I haven't met yet, that I haven't got a picture with, but I knocked a huge bulk of people off of there. So no 42 for me, no 43 for me. What's up, JPEG? Pat's Nation. I'm not going to be watching NXT tonight. I wanted to watch last week and I almost watched, if that counts for you. I don't have any updates on Piper because I honestly don't know what happened to her. Oh, this one right here. JPEG, pretty much one of my favorite comments of the night, because I've watched not one, but two videos on the Hollywood Horror Nights where they've done the Wyatt Six house. Very cool. I don't know. If I was WWE, I wouldn't even have asked for $1 to give up my rights. I just would have said, like, hey, is it cool if like we sell some merch or something like that and we can make money that way? Just the fact that they have a house inside of Horror Nights. Like, I'm not the biggest Horror Nights fan. I would go if my daughters wanted to go, but I don't think it's something that I would want to go to on my own. I'm not gonna say I'm like a scaredy pants, but I don't think I like being scared that much. Like, I don't need somebody running up to me with the chainsaw. Like maybe once or twice, but not like 100 times in a night or something like that. It doesn't sound like my kind of night. But I think honestly, I would watch every video that comes my way of people going to Horror Nights and watching it in a different way. I think that is so cool. I wish that they found a way to use the wrestlers on Raw more. If I can remember back to when the Wyatt Six debuted, if you can remember back to even when Bray Wyatt returned and we saw, I don't want to say that was the Wyatt Six, but it kind of looked like that's what they were doing when he came back at the end. Like Matt Riddle walked through the back, and then all of a sudden everything went dark. And then like the Bray Wyatt thing rolled out, and we saw the bunny, and we saw the rabbit, and we saw this, that, and the other. I don't know who was the characters. I don't even know if that mattered at the time because it was just Bray returning. But I think that's way, way cool. And I'm watching all the videos I can on that. Who do you think are the pillars of TNA Impact Wrestling? That's a great question, because I can tell you this much. I wish I watched more TNA wrestling. Brian Myers is somebody that I'm honestly a fan of. Trick Williams, I think, is honestly really cool. Eddie Edwards will always be one of the best wrestlers there is out there in the world. But I can't tell you the last time I watched TNA wrestling. I think about it consistently a lot, but I can tell you that as of right now, I don't even know where to go to watch it other than like kind of watching it on an internet stream or something like that. That pops up along the way. The last time I know I watched Impact was the day the Good Brothers debuted in 2020 when they came back at Slammiversary. I remember I watched that match. I watched that show to see them return in their match, and I ended up watching the whole show. And I kind of like remember writing down like Austin's name. I remember writing down Chris Bay. There were guys in there that I thought like, damn, these guys are good, and I don't know who they are, but like maybe they got something going on here. LJ said he misses Kevin Owens. I think we all do. And I don't want to say like it's best that we like forget about him, but I think that honestly, like your mom will tell you like the boiling pot never boils. Like you just sit there and you watch it, waiting to like put the macaroni in to make your macaroni and cheese. It's better if you like walk away for a few minutes and then you come back and next thing you know it's going, because it just doesn't work that way. Like I think it's best that we just sort of like put KO on the back burner, walk away, and then all of a sudden when he returns one day, whether that's him doing kind of like the like the commentating sort of stuff. Like if he's gonna turn to like what Samoa Joe was doing, or maybe like what Big E is doing. And then if he wrestles again, that's awesome. But I think it's best we just kind of like, I don't want to say forget about him, but I think it's best that we just kind of like push him back, watch what's going on, and just hope for the best. That's the best thing we can do. I can't believe WWE decided to redo SummerSlam 2014. Yeah, that was a real big surprise to me too. If I would have had money in my account to bet somewhere on the internet on wrestling, I would have bet it all that Cena was going to win this one. I think that we're going to get Brock versus Cena at that Saturday night's main event, and I would bet all the money that I didn't bet on the last one, I'd bet on Cena to win. There's no way he's going out on a loss. Chances of Shane McMahon getting inducted into the yeah, hold on. I want to do this one as its own video. I got a lot to say. All right, we got a comment here from Not JPEG. It says chances of Shane McMahon getting inducted into next year's WWE Hall of Fame along with his sister. 0%. I don't know what happened, what is happening. I don't know what currently is happening inside of the McMahon family, but I will tell you, like the WrestleMania 16, the WrestleMania 2000 in Los Angeles, where we had a McMahon in every corner, and they were kind of billing Triple H, The Rock, Big Show, and Mick Foley as like the four-way of like if the McMahons could get in the ring and fight it out. I think if we had a ring somewhere, Vince, Linda, Stephanie, and Shane would all get in there. I think we all know that every corner of the McMahons is due respect to where the company is for different reasons. Vince wouldn't be there if he wasn't able to buy the companies from his father, and then he had a lot of ideas that kind of pushed the company to where it was. Linda, you can't forget that I think that she was behind the money that bought the company that Vince ran, and then also was the businesswoman that kept the business running with Vince's ideas. Shane, when he came into the business, he was like he learned like what to do. He was like the referee, then he became like the announcer, and that kind of led to him like being on screen, and that's kind of like what everybody remembers. But behind the scenes, he was getting jobs that he was knocking out of the park. I think that he was one of the big ones that kind of launched the website, and then like when the website was kind of at its peaks and like the early 2000s, I think that Shane was the one behind making those decisions. What kids and people wanted to see on the internet from wrestling. It wasn't just like raw stats, it was stories and branching into other companies and doing things like that. But as far as like in a certain time period, Shane was the one telling Vince what was cool in the world. I mean, Shane was the guy that brought Floyd Mayweather to WrestleMania 24. He was the one that kind of went out on the edge and had weird ideas to like bring in the outside people, and was able to tell Vince like who was hip, who was down with it, with world culture that was out there. Stephanie, of course, she took over, and I think she's one of the biggest reasons why Shane left, because Shane saw that he wasn't the one gaining the most power in WWF behind Stephanie being in charge of the writing committee and kind of like being involved with Vince more. That if anybody was going to take over WWE, it was going to be Stephanie. I think that's why Shane went out on his own and tried to make his own name in business. And then he came back 2016, and he worked his way back into the company, but he never gained any power. Like I kept on waiting to hear that he has some sort of a job, and like he just was an entertainer. Like I'm sure he did things backstage. Like we've all know the story about him getting fired after being a producer for the Royal Rumble, and then producing himself, having such a big spot in the Rumble. It seemed like he won the damn thing. But I think that like Shane, Stephanie, Linda, Vince, they I I don't know what goes on inside their houses away from WWE. I think that they can be, you know, they can get along, they can do what a family needs to do, but I don't think there's a whole lot of four-man dinners. I don't think there's a whole lot of, like, them 4 getting together in a room. I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that are gonna be broken down in documentaries and books, interviews, years down the road. These are famous people, but I mean, like, they surround themselves with other people that, like, kind of dish out the dirt, later in life. I think that mistakes were made inside of this family that they probably can't go back on. And there's probably a lot of backstabbing and stuff that we thought was wrestling angles that is real life. I think that Shane deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and that was my first thought when they told Stephanie she was going to be in there. I was like, how can you put Stephanie into the WWE Hall of Fame at the point um, where she's going to the Hall of Fame, but you're not going to put Vince in, and then you're not going to put Shane in. Like, I think those are two more important names to be going into that point. So I apologize. I got a text message and I kind of saw the thing froze. So hopefully you guys got that. I think that John Cena's final opponent is going to be Brock Lesnar. Um, yeah. I almost tried to like my own stream because of that. Yeah, the likes need to be up. I appreciate that. Anything that helps get some people in here. Did you notice Adam Copeland paying tribute to Cena at All Out? Yeah, I thought that was really awesome. And I think that Edge saw Cena do it for him, so I think that he thought it was right to pay it back. And it's cool that he didn't get any knocks from AEW about that. Beth Phoenix made her debut. I don't know. I think that she's going to be somebody that's used when needed, but I don't think she's going to be an everyday performer for AEW. Jay Uso is the worst Royal Rumble winner. No, off the top of my head, I would say it might be Alberto Del Rio, who kind of never won the championship at WrestleMania 27. And then I can't really say that he hit like peaks. There was one time when WWE made him the World Heavyweight Champion and kind of the leader of SmackDown, but I don't think that really paid off. So Del Rio might be my guy. Yes, I am going to War Games in San Diego. I'll be going with freaking Yaya 88 Miguel. We got seats in the 200s. They weren't that expensive, and it's worth it to see my buddy Miguel. I haven't seen him since last year when we went to Ravi's wedding, and before that, I hadn't seen him since 2016. So I was kind of the odd man out that I wasn't able to go on trips because I hit a point in my life when I didn't have the income to be going on trips to like they went to 34 New Orleans. I would have done anything, but I would have killed myself in debt to go to that show. Probably said this before, but in your opinion, Bailey should join Uncle Howdy in the Wyatt Six. I'll tell you the truth. I don't think that's the way to go because the Wyatt Six have had a good tag team match. They've won the tag team championships, but like, I think that like Uncle Howdy, they said it on a podcast I was listening to. He's had like 3 matches in the time that he's been in WWE. So I don't know what kind of injury he has or what's going on, or if he's just a manager of that group that only wrestles every once in a while. But not sure. Would love to go to Mania if it was on somebody else's dime. It is expensive, man. And I think I would just love to go anywhere with my friends. Again, going to Ravi's wedding in Toronto last year was awesome. Probably said this before, but in my own opinion, Bailey should. He said that a second ago. I apologize. Ryback. Yeah, he lives in Vegas. We didn't see him. I thought he would come to WrestleCon, but he wasn't there. Makes sense because they're providing for a family. Yeah. Okay, we're talking about Ravi and Miguel. Fremont Street. Yeah, I didn't get to go to Fremont Street. Area 15, I have seen in videos, mostly Adam the Woo videos. That would be a good place to go to and like cool off. And it definitely is somewhere that like you put as much into it, you'll get more out of it. And like the more time that you're in there. And I think that like as long as you don't have your phone or your watch or something like that, you could spend a lot of time in there. Um, Naked Gun with Cody Rhodes and Dave Bautista, I haven't seen yet, but as soon as it's on a streaming platform, I will make sure I check it out. Apple pie, chicken wings, fish and chips, or pork chop sandwiches. Is this my girlfriend asking what's for dinner? Because I thought we were having tri-tip tonight. I thought that was a whole big ordeal, and we had fish last night, so I guess that's not her. You really freaked me out there, not JPEG. I thought you were her from her work. Latest info on Chris Jericho. Latest info I got on Chris Jericho basically is that people think he's going to return at the Royal Rumble. If he was going to return at AEW, I think he would have came at All Out. I think he is waiting out the end of his contract, whenever the heck that is, and I think he's waiting for the right moment for WWE to say, like, hey, it's time to return to the family. I don't know how long his run is going to be in WWE. More than likely, he'll get the big moment. They'll give him as many matches as he needs or he can live up to, him going into the WWE Hall of Fame. How about this? If you get Jericho to return to WWE, you could have Jericho put Stephanie into the Hall of Fame, and that would be a very good, very entertaining speech. You wouldn't have like a Triple H moment of Triple H putting her in. You definitely wouldn't have a moment of Undertaker fumbling his way through putting her in. So that way, like, Triple H could kind of enjoy the moment with Stephanie. He got the moment of surprising her at the pay-per-view by telling her to go be out there, and then all of a sudden the segment was about her rather than her just being ringside for it. But I think it would be awesome. Chris Jericho and Stephanie were one of the biggest feuds that each other had. They also came together in their disdain for Triple H when Jericho fought in the main event of WrestleMania 18. Of course, that led to the divorce on screen of Stephanie and Triple H, which led to them fighting over a dog, which was one of the major storylines of WrestleMania 18. But I mean, not only you get Jericho having a Rumble appearance, let's face it, Jericho's not winning the Rumble, but having a Rumble appearance. Then you'd also get him, having something to do at WrestleMania. Jericho versus AJ Styles one more time. I guess 10 years later. Maybe even the joke I read online was that like we're gonna get Jericho versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania. I still think that would be a damn good match, as long as it's not one of like the big matches, like a main eventing a night. I would love to see that as an opener one night. But then you can also get her. You can get Jericho inducting Stephanie into the Hall of Fame. Missed opportunity by never bringing Britney Spears during the Cena versus Cape. I think they honestly did everything they could to get Britney there. Let's face it, that's why they did the Kevin Federline storyline. And I think about this often. I wish Cena versus Federline was on one of the DVDs, because that is a match that I often think about. I have watched it on YouTube. It's grainy. It's not the same. I would love to see it in DVD quality. If I would have known the date, I probably would have looked it up on the WWE Network. But Cena versus Kevin Federline was one hell of a feud. Kevin Federline didn't keep his name status, that he was a so-called celebrity, because he was like the bottom of the tier, because he was only there because he was a background dancer that married Britney Spears. He tried to have a rap album, but then it just failed. And the second that Federline and Spears got divorced, like, he would get some TMZ headlines every once in a while, especially when Britney was going through the whole free Britney thing, and they were trying to make her, free on her own. And then Federline was trying to keep the kids away from her because she was batshit crazy. I tweeted free Britney along the way, and I honestly regret it these days. But I wish we got to see more out of Federline versus Cena, because that was one hell of a feud that I think WWE buries because of the fact they let Cena lose to a nobody. Who would have been a better Raw guest host, Tom Green or Weird Al Yankovic? Probably Tom Green. I think Weird Al only would have been able to do what they told him to do, while Tom Green could have made a better situation out of nothing by making a joke that if he would have if Weird Al was in a segment that was bombing, he would just do whatever they told him to do to get to the end. Tom Green, if he was in a situation that I think he knew was bombing, I think he would do whatever he needed to do to put it over and get out of it. Did you hear the news about former Raw GM Ricky Hatton passing away? He was the boxer, right? I didn't know a lot about him, but I did see the headline, but that's really all that I really saw. And then we're going to close it out right here with the possibility of Tony D'Angelo bringing back the full-blooded Italians. Are they going to be running Philadelphia? Are they doing the ECW arena? Is like NXT trying to take it over when the AEW the timeline of shows is that going to be over? Like they're going there to try and like make it a WWE place yet once again. I guess that's some way they could do it. That would be the only way that I would do it. Probably pretty good for him, honestly, to tell you the truth. So, all right. We did an hour and 15. Like I said earlier, if you're in here, if you've been in here, I appreciate all of you guys. Please tweet me so I know who you are. And we can start up a friendship over there on Twitter. I try to talk to everybody who talks to me. I try to retweet anything you ever need retweeted. If you make your own videos or anything like that, I'll try my best, whatever that's worth, to help you out. But peace out, everybody. I appreciate you. If you need a Wrestle Talk tomorrow, I am going to be doing a live stream like this with my buddy Jeremy. Write this down. Rock and Noel on YouTube. His name's Jeremy. He's a great guy. We've been doing this for a while. College football started, so we've been doing a little bit of hit and miss. That's why I've been doing the 2 weeks. I was doing one wrestling one NFL one, wrestling one today, and I'm glad because we talked a lot of freaking wrestling today. So peace out, everybody. I'll see you guys down the road, and thank y'all very much. Peace out, guys.